Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very cool deck. It's going to focus around the Plasma Freeze Dragonite with the Deafen attack. We're not really going to be using the Heal Wing attack at all. So the very cool thing about Dragonite is that its Deafen attack is pretty much the same as the Seismitoad EX's Quaking Punch attack on steroids. I mean, Seismitoad EX's Quaking Punch attack is annoying enough to deal with, given the fact that it hits for 30 damage and it has the item lock. Well, Deafen is even worse. It has double the amount of initial damage. However, there are some setbacks to the Deafen attack. The number one most visible is the energy cost, requiring 3 energy cards. Unfortunately, we can't just latch on a double colorless energy and then start putting our opponent under the item lock. So it's going to take a little bit of an energy acceleration mechanism to really make the Dragonite viable. Of course, the other fact is that Dragonite is a stage 2 Pokemon, so it's going to take us a little bit of work to get him into play. But aside from that, it's a very solid Pokemon, and once we get the item lock on our opponent, they're going to have a very difficult time. The other really nice thing that I do want to point out about the Dragonite is its type. It is weak to Dragon type Pokemon, meaning that it's probably never going to take double the amount of damage, at least in the current standard format. At least now that I'm currently talking about this video, the Roaring Sky set has not been released, in case someone from a couple of days from now watches it and then they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Everybody uses dragon type Pokemon. Well, at the moment that's not the case. So at the moment the dragon weakness is a very solid one. So let's go and talk about some of the other Pokemon in our deck. Dragonite, of course, is the main attacker, but we also have another Pokemon that we could potentially use as an attacker, but mainly as an energy accelerator. That's the Victini EX. We're going to be focusing on using its Turbo Energizer attack. Requires a fire energy card, but we're only running fire and double colors energies anyways, so that's absolutely fine. The really nice thing about Turbo Energize, it allows us to search for 2 basic energy cards from our deck and attach them to our bench Pokemon in any way we like. So the nice thing about that is that we don't need to attach both of our fire energy cards that we retrieve from our deck on a single Dratini or Dragonite, for example. We can sort of spread them out. If it seems like our opponent has the Landorus EX and is targeting our bench Pokemon, then of course we can again spread out those energies, and it just makes life a little bit easier for us. So Victini EX is a pretty cool Pokemon. Only has a mere 110 HP, but that's okay. Should still be able to compensate just through the usage of its Turbo Energize attack and the Intensifying Burn attack, allowing us to knock out those pesky Pokemon such as Verzian EX, Genesect EX, which would normally give us a bit of a difficult time because they're immune to the Hypnotoxic Lasers and Verbank City Gym that we are running. Now again, the really other nice thing that I do want to mention is that since we are running Victini EX, we'll be running the Victory Piece A-Spec card. This allows us to use any of our Victini EX's attacks without any energy cards being attached to the Victini EX, so that's very potent. I mean, Victini EX being able to perform a one-hit knockout on a 170 HP Verzian EX, for example, that's just pretty incredible. Victory Piece, I feel like, is a very worthwhile A-Spec card to run in his deck, so we are running this as opposed to, say, Computer Search, the Dowsing Machine, or really any other A-Spec cards. I highly recommend it. If you guys disagree with me, please feel free to switch it out for a Computer Search or whatever A-Spec card you decide works out a little bit better, but in our case we'll be sticking with the Victory Piece. We're also running some other Pokemon as well, one last Pokemon, and that is going to be the Caldew EX with the Russian ability. Caldew EX is mainly going to be used to sort of switch in between our Pokemon, not really going to be used as an attacker. Secret Sword unfortunately doesn't work all that well unless we run water energy cards in our deck, which as you guys can clearly see we're not, so Caldew EX will be used in combination with the Float Stones just to allow us to switch in between our Pokemon. The last tool type card that I do want to bring you guys' attention to is the Muscle Band. You guys are quite familiar with, but anyways, let's briefly discuss it. This will allow us to increase the total damage output of our Dragonite by an additional 20 damage. That damage really adds up over time, so Muscle Band is not a card to be underestimated. We're running a total of 2 copies of this in our deck, and we're running a total of 10 energy cards. With that, let's discuss some of the other item cards we're running. 4 of them are going to be the Crushing Hammers. This is very reminiscent of the Seismitoad EX strategy, just to try and get rid of the our opponent's energy cards and make life that much more difficult for them. So we're running a total of 4 Crushing Hammers. We're also running a single Enhanced Hammer. sort of does the same thing, except it's restricted to special energies only, and it doesn't require the flip coin mechanism. So another very nice card. We're running a single copy of the Enhanced Hammer in our deck. We're also running a total of 4 copies of the Hypnotoxic Laser. Again, you guys are quite familiar with what this does. This is mainly to try and put our opponent's Pokemon to sleep, so that when we do put them on the item lock, they're pretty much prevented from being able to do anything. We're also running it in combination with the Verbank City Gym to allow us to stack some additional damage counters in between turns. We're also running 3 copies of the Rare Candy, just to allow our Dratini to evolve into the Dragonite right away, as opposed to going through the Dragonair phase. And those are pretty much the item cards that I really wanted to discuss. The other ones I'm going to be going through relatively quickly. We're running a total of 3 copies of the Ultra Ball to be able to grab onto any one of our Pokemon. 2 VS Seekers to reuse our supporter cards, a total of 9 draw supporter cards, one of them the Colress, 4 of them being the N, and 4 of them being the Juniper, a single Lysander to lure out our opponent's bench Pokemon, Lysander's trump card to recycle all those annoying cards we are running in our deck, and a single Teammates card. In case any of our Pokemon do get knocked out, it can make life a little bit easier for us to be able to grab onto, say, a Rare Candy and a Dragonite, for example. So with that, we are going to find ourselves an opponent, and you guys are going to be able to take a look at what this deck is really capable of. Again, it is quite reminiscent of the Seismitoad EX strategy, and it basically is for the most part, except Dragonite makes deck space a little bit tight for us, so that could sometimes prove to be a bit of an issue. And it looks like our opponent is going to start first. I'm assuming we are facing the the Yveltal EX type deck. I mean, whenever you do see dark, yeah, so looks like Yveltal EX is going to come out right away. Hopefully our opponent decides to attach a double colors energy to it, because I will probably be using the Juniper, and okay, so it looks like it's going to be a darkness energy, and our opponent's going to use the N, so okay, that's fine. And the opponent's going to end their turn. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to discard our entire hand using the Juniper, because I need a bench Pokemon that Yveltal EX could probably take the game during the next turn. So let's go and attach the Muscle Band to our Dratini in case it survives, but it probably won't. Let's go and use the Juniper as well for some new cards in our hand. Some Crushing Hammers and a Tails. Another Crushing Hammers, heads this time around, so that's kind of cool. We're going to rush in with the Keldeo EX. So let's go and rush in, attach a Fire Energy card to the benched Dratini, which luckily looks like he is going to be surviving, and then we're going to go and end the turn. Yveltal EX is probably not going to be able to attack, because of course I did just use the Enhanced Hammer, so I don't foresee him as being able to attack. But in case any of our Keldeo EXs do get knocked out, I can make use of that Teammates card, which is kind of nice, but I'd much rather draw onto a draw supporter type card. We're seeing a Seismitoad EX come out as well. Hopefully it doesn't item lock us before we're able to item lock him, but we do see the double colors energy coming out, and an N as well. Awesome, looks like we do have the Rare Candy at hand, so our opponent is, damn it, I'm sorry about that guys, but Seismitoad EX has come out, and his annoying presence will be felt by us. But I think we should be fine for now. I'm going to use the Lysander to bring out our opponent's Yveltal EX. If he can't retreat it, we should be able to bring out our Dragonite. So let's go and rush in with the Keldeo EX, attach a double colors energy to our Dratini, and then we can go and end the turn. Provided our opponent is unable to item lock us again. I mean, if he does bring out a Darkrai EX, for example, and the Darkness energy, then of course that Seismitoad EX would be able to item lock us once again, which I'm really hoping does not happen. I really want to bring out one of our Dragonites just so our opponent gets a bit of a taste of our Dragonite, but we are seeing the Floatstone come out, so that Seismitoad EX is going to retreat, and the Yveltal EX is going to retreat. Seismitoad EX is back at the forefront. Hopefully we can give our opponent a bit of a taste of his own medicine, but unfortunately for now I'm going to have to prolong the hopeful punishment that we will be giving to our opponent. Let's go and attach a double colors energy to our Dratini. We'll be using the N. Yeah, so let's go and use the N for some new cards in our hand, hoping for Dragonair, and awesome, looks like we are going to get one, so let's go and bring out the Dragonair, and then we're gonna go and end our turn. Luckily, if our opponent is using cards such as the Hypnotoxic Lasers, we do have 2 Keldeo EXs, so we can just repeatedly rush in and at least minimize the amount of poison damage that we will be taking in between turns. Fortunately, can't make use of that VS Seeker to look for any of our supporter type cards. Really hoping that we put our opponent under the item lock, but given the fact that the item lock does require 3 energy cards, that makes life a little bit more difficult for us, especially since Yveltal EX is able to hit us for more damage using its Evil Ball attack times the number of energy cards we ultimately have attached to our Pokemon. And okay, so it looks like the opponent is going to use the Acrobike. We see the Garbodor going into our opponent's discard pile, and I'm not sure what card they have decided to draw into. Fortunately, it does not let me see, but that is the perks of using the Acrobike. Let's go and attach a Fire Energy card to the Dragonair, and then end our turn. Really hoping for that Dragonite, guys. Wanna put our opponent under the item lock as well. Well, the item lock on steroids, as I prefer to call it as. And awesome, looks like we're going to get the N, so let's go and attach another Fire Energy card to our Dragonair. Use the N, and we're finally gonna get the Dragonite. I'm quite happy about that. Let's go and bring out another Dratini, and unfortunately I have to end our turn. I can't really do all that much from this point out. We are still item locked. I'm hoping we can start making use of our hammers soon. I mean, an enhanced hammer and a crushing hammer on that Seismitoad EX would just be a very, very rewarding move. And we are seeing the VS Seeker come out, possibly a Colress, or okay, it looks like it is going to be an N, and that's actually going to help us out. I mean, we've just been able to draw onto another one of our Dragonairs, so hopefully we can bring out another Dragonite as well. And the Keldeo EX is going to remain alive with a mere 30 HP. Let's go and use the Dragonair and bring him out. I think I'm going to use the Lysander's trump card, guys. I feel like we've given up quite a few imported cards. I mean, we've already gotten rid of 3 of our Crushing Hammers and the single Lysander we are running in our deck, so I feel like using the Lysander's trump card may just be the way to go. And I'm not sure if I'd like to rush into the Keldeo EX. I mean, I sort of want our active Keldeo EX to die, but I mean, as bad as that really sounds, well, you know what? Let's rush in, see where the battle sort of takes us. I'm hoping that was the right decision, but again, I'm not entirely sure. Once we can get rid of our opponent's Seismitoad EX, that's when we can really start unleashing our strategy. Of course, given the fact that we are item locked, we can't make use of all of these goodie cards that we happen to have in our hand. And yeah, so we are seeing a double colors energy get attached to our opponent's Yveltal EX as well. Let's go and use the Juniper to get some new cards in our hand. Another double colors energy will be attaching it to our Dragonair once we do happen to draw onto the next Dragonite EX. Let's go and rush into the Keldeo EX, guys. Might as well sacrifice it. Only has 30 HP remaining, and I'd like to have at least one in our bench. Feel like it would just be nice. I have an N in our hand as well, which I'm probably going to use unless I can Lysander out another Pokemon that our opponent decides to lay it out on their bench, and hopefully I can item lock him, and then we can really start making use of our item type cards. So it would be nice if our opponent decides to bring out another Yveltal EX, for example, which would be the ideal sort of Lysandering candidate that it would be able to grab onto. Okay, so it looks like it is going to be the Yveltal, and the opponent's Seismitoad EX may just be retreating. Okay, so we are seeing the Ultra Ball come out. Trubbish is going to go into the discard pile, and the Darkrai EX is going to come out. So now our opponent is going to have that free retreat, unless of course I happen to bring out that Darkrai EX and it does not have any item cards, any energy cards attached to it. So let's go and bring out that Dragonite and then lure out our opponent's Lysander, the Darkrai EX, Lysander it out, and then let's go and use the Deafen attack. Now our opponent is getting a bit of a taste of his own medicine. That item lock has now taken place. Really hoping our opponent does not have the double colors energy or the the darkness energy. Awesome, looks like he doesn't, so now we can propagate our own strategy. Let's go and put that Darkrai EX on the sleep condition, and we'll be getting rid of the victory piece. I don't really feel like bringing down a Victini EX at this point on would really do much, so we're going to use the Ultra Ball, discard the victory piece and the N to look for one of our Dragonites, bring him out, and then we're going to go and unleash all of our hammers on our opponent. So we are going to get the heads. Could get rid of the Seismitoad EXs, but I'd rather take care of that Yveltal EX. I feel like he's the more menacing option. Of course, that Seismitoad EX can only hit us for a mere 50 damage right now. Doesn't look all that menacing now that we have item locked him. Let's go and use the N, reduce the increase the number of cards that we have in our hand. I do have the VS Seeker, and I could use it to grab onto the Lysander. which I may just do in case we do happen to get item locked again. So yeah, let's go and grab onto the Lysander, put it into our hand, and then use the Deafen, knock out our opponent's Darkrai EX, and draw onto 2 of our prize cards. Feels good to finally have unleashed our strategy on our opponent. The Yveltal EX is going to come out, but I really don't foresee him as being able to knock out our Dragonite in a single attack, but it's going to be able to nonetheless hit us for quite a bit of damage. Okay, looks like the Keldeo EX is the target that our opponent would like to get rid of, so let's go and bring out the Dragonite. And I'm thinking if I would like to bring out our opponent's Seismitoad EX. I mean, it has 3 energy cards. It could easily retreat. So you know what? Let's go and try to take care of our opponent's Yveltal EX. So we're going to flip a Tails. I'm going to keep using them until we ultimately get the heads. And 2 Tails in a row, and finally we get the heads. Hopefully our opponent's Pokemon decides to remain asleep. We'll be attaching a Fire Energy card to the Dragonite, and I'm gonna go and use the N, reduce the number of cards in our opponent's hand. Hopefully he can't really make use of anything. Let's go and use that Crushing Hammer, and we're gonna get the Tails again. Unfortunately, doesn't look like we're getting all that lucky with our flips, but that's okay. I feel like we have the potential to make a turnaround. Our opponent, Yveltal EX, is going to remain asleep. I'm very happy to give our opponent a taste of his own medicine. We're seeing the Jirachi EX come out as well. I'm thinking our opponent may just look for the Lysander. Potentially a draw supporter card as well. Probably the Juniper or the Lysander. I feel, yeah, so it looks like it is going to be the Juniper. Our opponent is going to look for some new cards in his hand. Again, though, he can't really do anything once he does use that Juniper. So that's kind of nice to know that Yveltal EX is as good as toast. And let's see what our opponent decides to do. So really happy that we were able to make a comeback. And it looks like our opponent is going to quit. But again, guys, I felt like we made such a huge comeback that our opponent really stood no chance from this point out. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time.